Today we're going to look at adjusting the colour in parts of your image. Here's a shot I took of Sarah. I want to show you how to adjust just the colour of her dress for starters. So normally the first thing we do is Command J to duplicate the layer, and then any adjustments we make on there we can shift backwards a little bit if we need to by masking it. We don't really need to do that if we use an adjustment layer in this box here. So if I click on the hue and saturation button, it's created its own layer anyway. Okay, so all the usual masking things can be done. We're in master mode here at the moment, which means anything I do to the hue slider affects the hue of the entire image. Likewise the saturation, I slide that down, desaturate the entire image. Okay, lightness, I steer clear of that most of the time, it's not great. We've also got a Colorize button, which you can see immediately colorizes the entire image. If you're subtle with this, take the saturation slider down and adjust the hue, you get some really nice tinted effects. Okay. But what we're going to do here is just change the colour of her dress. I think maybe that purpley blue just kind of draws attention away from the face a little bit. It doesn't fit so well with the colour of the rest of the image. So we've got this wonderful little gadget here, this little pointy finger. First of all, if I just zoom in a little bit to that area. Oh, before I do that, I should say that was just in master mode. So if we go down to, say, obviously there's blues in this dress, I can affect just the blues of the image. So now if I move the hue slider, you can see it's affected just the blues. But the trouble is, of course, I don't know if you can tell, there are not really any other blues in the image, so you won't notice so much, but it will affect all the blues in an image. So instead of that, we're going to use this pointy finger tool. Zoom back in again. If I click on the colour we want to affect, I can then adjust the saturation and the hue of just that colour. Of course, if that colour exists in another part of the image, then again the same thing is going to happen, but we can use masking for that. So at the moment what I've done is pretty much desaturated the colour of the dress entirely. So if I then click on the layer mask, that's before and that's after. Okay, and obviously you can mess with the hue. And so on. So the thing with the layer mask is, supposing there was a similar colour in this area of the picture and we didn't want that affected by the adjustment, we would mask that layer off. So let's take for an example then, let's just flatten the image for a moment because I think that's fairly safe as it is. Hit hue and saturation again. Now there's lots of red rust colours in this image. Let's suppose we wanted to make the lipstick just a little redder. Okay, we can come to the pointer tool again, click on the red. Incidentally, you can just click and slide up and down to affect the saturation. See how it's gone less saturated there? If I slide up, you can make it much more saturated. But it's easier to show you here. We can go crazy over the top with the saturation, but this illustrates the point. If I zoom out and turn the layer off, You can see how it's brought up the saturation of the flesh tone as well because of the redness in that, and likewise in some of the leaves. The effect is over the top, so let's get it somewhere a little bit more realistic. As far as lipstick goes, it's still quite strong, but it illustrates the point. Okay, so that's plus 17 saturation. Off, on. So to make it only affect the lips, we need to mask off the other areas. So this is at the moment a white layer, so white reveals, black conceals. So it's revealing the effect in the entire image. If I go to edit, fill with black, you can now see that layer mask is black, so it doesn't show the effect at all. We've concealed it. And now, of course, if I've got white as my colour and go to the paintbrush, I can reveal it just where I want it, just in the lips. I'm being rough and ready here, but there's no red in the teeth, so it hasn't really harmed them. That's on 60% opacity. Before, after, and you can see it hasn't affected the rest of the image. That's actually too strong, so I might bring it down to 50 or 60, say 50%. Before, after, just zoom back in. It looks a little more realistic. Before, after. Hasn't affected the skin tones, hasn't affected the hair or the leaves or anything except the lips. Okay. So we can flatten that and save it if you wish to. What I'm going to do is just show you, go back to how the image was when it started. You can see how that blue now seems quite distracting. It distracts from the face, and obviously the attention should be on the face. So I then go back one. That's how it is now. So before, after. That's it. That's just part of how to use your hue and saturation layer. Enjoy. See you next time.